Every business has an ambition. PayPal Open is the platform designed to help you grow into yours. With business loans so you can expand and access to hundreds of millions of PayPal customers worldwide. And your customers can pay all the ways they want with PayPal, Venmo, Pay Later, and all major cards, so you can focus on scaling up. When it's time to get growing, there's one platform for all business. PayPal Open. Grow today at paypalopen.com. Loans subject to approval in available locations.
Welcome to the Crypto 101 show, where we dive into the world of cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin, blockchain, and all the technology with it. Whether you're experienced or a beginner to crypto, our goal is to break down complex concepts and make it easy for you to understand the basics. From Bitcoin to altcoins, we'll cover it all in a way that's easy to digest and provide listeners with the knowledge and understanding they need to make informed decisions and better critical thought. Sit back, relax, and let's simplify your understanding of cryptocurrencies on the Crypto 101 show. Part 15. What if Bitcoin fails? Exit scenarios, vulnerabilities, and honest critique. I need to start off by saying this is not financial advice, so if you are looking for that, the show isn't for you. The content of this podcast episode is for informational purposes only. The opinions expressed here are not meant to be taken as financial, investment, or any other advice. This episode is not about Bitcoin's promise. It's about its limits, its vulnerabilities, and its possible failure. If we're going to take Bitcoin seriously, we have to ask the uncomfortable questions, not just the optimistic ones. What could break it? What could replace it? And if it all falls apart, what do we take with us? Let's dive in. Question 1. What are Bitcoin's biggest existential threats? Quantum, regulation, apathy? There are a few answers to this question, some technical, some political, and some are human-related. Let's break them down. First up, maybe the biggest threat to all of Bitcoin, apathy or lack of interest in it. Not a government, not a hack, just a collective shrug. If enough people stop caring, stop maintaining the code, stop running nodes, stop educating others, Bitcoin doesn't need to be banned, it just becomes irrelevant. Think about how many promising technologies fizzled out, not because they failed technically, but because people moved on. Bitcoin's immune to a lot of things, but it's not immune to being forgotten. The next potential threat is government regulation. No governments can't kill Bitcoin directly, but they can suffocate it. Imagine a scenario where self-custody is criminalized, mining is banned, and exchanges are choked with red tape or taxed into extinction. Bitcoin might still exist, but only in the background or the shadows. What if using Bitcoin becomes as suspicious as offshore money laundering? Mainstream adoption could potentially collapse. And remember, the most powerful governments don't just control laws, they control narratives. This next one is more of a tech threat that's slowly becoming real. Quantum computing. Bitcoin's security depends on elliptic curve cryptography, a system that, in theory, could be broken by powerful enough quantum computer, primarily impacting the digital signatures used to spend Bitcoin from existing addresses. Right now, that threat is still decades away, but if a nation-state develops a working quantum system before Bitcoin upgrades its protocol, suddenly the security model collapses. That's why developers are already talking about quantum-resistant upgrades, but the question is, will we get there in time? Lastly, there are other threats that don't make headlines, but they do linger. A critical software bug. We've seen it before, like the inflation bug in 2010. Centralization. If mining, development, or node operation becomes too top-heavy, it betrays Bitcoin's core. And energy. The narrative war over Bitcoin's energy usage could dry up institutional support and greenlight regulation. In the end, Bitcoin probably won't die from a single bullet. It would die from 1,000 cuts, a mix of neglect, political pressure, social indifference, and maybe something we can't yet predict. While these threats are real, the flip side is these are not inevitable. As long as people care, build, protect, and educate, Bitcoin remains alive, resilient, and relentless. Question 2. Could it be co-opted, broken, or outcompeted? Here's the question no one in the Bitcoin community wants to ask, but we have to. What if Bitcoin isn't defeated by an outside force, but absorbed, broken, or quietly replaced? Let's start with co-opted. Some fear that Bitcoin could be domesticated or turned into a tool of that very system it set out to escape. Regulators add so much compliance that it's no longer permissionless. Banks offer custody, but only if you play by their rules. KYC, surveillance, asset reporting, tax penalties, etc. Suddenly, Bitcoin is no longer a rebellion. It's a spreadsheet asset with a ticker symbol. Already, we're seeing it with ETFs, big banks, and centralized exchanges. Wall Street didn't kill Bitcoin. It bought it, packaged it, and sold it back to us in pieces. Is that progress or a soft takeover? Then there's broken. Bitcoin's code is strong, but it's still code, and code can fail. All it takes is one undiscovered bug, a flaw in mining consensus, a vulnerability in wallet software, a quantum computing leap that cracks private keys wide open. The protocol has held strong for over a decade, but the higher the stakes, the bigger the target. And if something breaks at the wrong time, with too much value on the line, that's not just a tech issue. That's a crisis of confidence, and confidence is everything. And finally, maybe the most likely scenario, outcompeted. Bitcoin was first, but it might not be final. Newer protocols offer speed, scalability, privacy, programmability. Ethereum has smart contracts. Monero has privacy. Solana has speed. Some of them are centralized, but that doesn't stop people from using them. If a new system emerges that feels smoother, cheaper, more modern, people might not care about purity. They might just switch. And being honest and upfront, Bitcoin is still hard to use. Self-custody is intimidating, and Lightning is powerful but clunky. There's no clear UX path for the average person. If convenience wins, Bitcoin could lose, not to a hostile enemy, but to consumer preference. Bitcoin's design is intentional. It doesn't try to be fast. It doesn't try to be flashy. It tries to be money, hard, incorruptible, decentralized money. And in that lane, no one else really compares. But if the public doesn't understand that, if the mission gets blurred, if we trade trustlessness for ease, then Bitcoin could succeed in adoption, but fail in purpose. So can Bitcoin be co-opted, broken, or outcompeted? Yes, and maybe more easily than we'd like to admit. The real question isn't whether it happens, it's whether we'll notice it before it's too late. Question 3. If Bitcoin isn't the answer, what have we learned? Some may not want to think about this, but being honest, there's always a chance this could happen. For all the hype and headlines, there's still a chance that Bitcoin doesn't make it, that it never goes mainstream, that it gets regulated into irrelevance, that it loses its narrative, that it fades. And if that happens, we're left with a question that's bigger than price charts or hash rates. What have we learned? Maybe the first lesson, people are hungry for an alternative. The moment Bitcoin emerged, millions of people said, yes, this makes more sense than what we have. Even if they didn't understand the code, they understood the feeling that money should be fair, that systems should be open, that no one, not a central bank, not a billionaire, not a politician, should have the power to silently steal your time and energy through inflation or manipulation. That's a powerful idea, and the idea is not going away. The second lesson is trust is broken, not just in currencies, but in institutions, in governments, in media, and in the economy itself. Bitcoin may not fix that, but it exposed it. It showed us that if you give people the tools to opt out, some will take it, even if it's hard and even if it's risky, because what they're leaving behind already feels worse, and that tells us something about the world we're living in. The third lesson is that decentralization is messy but necessary. Bitcoin taught us that building systems without a central point of failure is possible. It's slow, it's inefficient, and it's frustrating at times, but it's honest. It's not at all perfect, but it's transparent. There's no CEO, no kill switch, and no bailout. Just code, consensus, and time. That model, even if Bitcoin fails, will shape the future of technology, governance, and finance. Because once you see that it's possible, you can't unsee it. And maybe the biggest lesson is value isn't just economic. Bitcoin wasn't just about making money. It was about rethinking what money is. It was about sovereignty. It was about aligning incentives. It was about giving people control over something they never truly owned: their time, their labor, and their future. Even if Bitcoin fails, the idea succeeded. And it's not just going to go back in the box. So if Bitcoin isn't the answer, we've still asked the right questions. And that might be the greatest contribution. Not fixing the system, but making millions of people start questioning it. Because once the seed is planted, the next solution doesn't start from scratch. It starts with a fire already lit. So if Bitcoin fails, maybe it gets absorbed. Maybe it gets outlawed. Maybe it gets forgotten. Or maybe it just becomes something else. Something less pure, more compromised, or a ghost of what it set out to be. But even if that happens, this movement, this moment, and this spark won't have been for nothing. Because now millions of people have seen behind the curtain. They've questioned the system, they've imagined a different way. And that kind of spark doesn't just die with a failed protocol. Thanks for listening. This is the Bitcoin series, and I'll see you in part 16, where we explore what if the US adopted Bitcoin as a reserve. Until then, stay curious, stay grounded. I want to be extremely upfront that I try my best to leave all of my opinions out of this. I know this is very condensed and simplified, but I want you to gain your own understanding and beliefs and not be persuaded by me. I hope this helped you gain a better grasp of it. Please remember to share, follow, and subscribe to our mailing list and to your favorite podcast app for future episodes so you can gain more with your crypto knowledge. If this sparked something in you or made you question what's possible, I'd love to hear about it. And if you found this valuable, share it, tag someone who needs to hear it, or just sit with it. Thanks for listening. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Crypto 101 Show. If you would like to join our email list, email us at thecrypto101show@gmail.com. For more helpful tips, subscribe in your favorite podcast app and leave a review so that you don't miss our next episode. See you next time.
Every business has an ambition. PayPal Open is the platform designed to help you grow into yours. With business loans so you can expand and access to hundreds of millions of PayPal customers worldwide. And your customers can pay all the ways they want with PayPal, Venmo, Pay Later, and all major cards, so you can focus on scaling up. When it's time to get growing, there's one platform for all business. PayPal Open. Grow today at paypalopen.com. Loans subject to approval in available locations.
At Arizona State University, we've made online education better, smarter, and more personalized so you can go further in your aspiring field.
I decided to pursue medicine once I realized that ASU did have the online program for biological sciences. You're still required to learn the same curriculum. You're still being tested on the same content that anyone would be tested on in person. The comprehensiveness of the program prepared me so well for medical school.
Explore over 350 plus programs at asuonline.asu.edu.